Hey everybody, Shane here, Shoebox Legends. Thanks for joining me for another buyback rummage here on the channel. This time we're going to do one that is, should be anyway, of the star-studded variety. I have this very small box here that contains buybacks, but don't be fooled by the size. This contains mostly star and Hall of Famer buybacks. A lot of cards that I've picked out individually as singles, whereas the last couple of rummages, I've had a lot of common players that I maybe picked up in lots. I'm hoping that today we can kind of break that trend and maybe pull a Hall of Famer or two out of this box. And before we get to that, I like to accompany the rummage with a couple of hand-selected buybacks from my trove that have yet to be processed for my Franken set. And we have this great Roger Clemens from 86 Topps, a second-year Rocket on the 2017 Rediscover Buyback program, the silver foil Clemens. So one of the preeminent pitchers of his generation on a great Red Sox buyback. And then the lesser known Juan Rios here on the 70 Topps release. This one is included just because of the amazing bat rack photo. Absolutely love that. I'm a sucker for a nice bat rack on a card. There were plenty of them throughout the 70s. And Juan Rios there is a primo example. So with those two out of the way, let's begin the rummage, and we'll just do what we usually do. Go for about 10 minutes or so. And like I said, see if we can get a Hall of Famer here. We start off with a traded card from the 1974 Topps traded release. Diego Segui, traded to the Boston Red Sox. This is also from the 2017 Rediscover program. So kind of fitting to get a Red Sox pitcher right after we saw that Roger Clemens. And here's a look at the back. These have that newspaper design related to the trade with a little write-up, related to the exchange. So that's a pretty cool Diego Segui to start us off. Next up, oops, I almost pulled two there. All right, here we go with a Hall of Famer. On the right, Lou Brock. This is the 1975 Stolen Base Leaders card from the 75 Topps release. Actually depicts, obviously, the 74 Stolen Base Leaders in the 75 set. Bill North of the A's and Lou Brock of the Cardinals. Take a look at the back. Bill North had 54 steals. Lou Brock had 118. Of course, Brock, probably the best known base stealer prior to Rickey Henderson. And just love this Leaders card. Great excuse to get a Hall of Famer on a buyback card. This is from the 2014 Topps 75th Anniversary Buyback Program. So this was issued would have been issued in a pack of 2014 Topps or Topps Update. So, all right, we already got a Hall of Famer, just two cards into the rummage. I love it. Here's a cool one, Paul Casanova. Now, what's interesting about this card, I would not have appreciated this nearly as much a couple of years ago, but I learned that Paul briefly played for a Negro League franchise before starting his major league career. I believe it was the Indianapolis Clowns. I could be wrong, because obviously I wasn't expecting to pull this card, but I want to say it was the Indianapolis Clowns. Granted, it was kind of later in that team's evolution when the formal Negro Leagues had been breaking down, but nonetheless, he is known as a bridge player who played for both a Negro League team and a Major League team. So happy to see that 1967 Paul Casanova and a great Senators card there. Really, really cool. This box is definitely proving a little bit more exciting than the last couple rummages we've done. Here's a great combo card from the 60s featuring Lindy McDaniel and Larry Jackson of the Cardinals. Lindy shows Larry. Play on words there. This is from the Topps original buyback program in 2015. It's a 1961 Topps card originally, and it's number 75. So we'll be competing for the buyback Franken set in slot 75, and a pretty decent chance. I love the combo cards. So I think that one has, at least as good of odds as any card could have of making the binder. Here's a really cool one. Not a Hall of Famer, I don't believe, but a star player for sure. Norm Cash of the Tigers, and I love the image on this. Arguably my favorite set of the 70s. It's high up there anyway, the 1972 Topps design. This card is beat. It's incredibly off-center top to bottom. There's barely a bottom border there below Cash. It is there. But it's barely there. Look at this corner. Whoa, that lower right corner is just completely mashed. Really, all four corners kind of are. You got like a stain or some paper loss in the upper right, but I don't care. Like, This may be the only buyback version of this card that exists from the 75th anniversary buyback program. For all I know, star players, very difficult to come by. And card number 150 as well, got a nice star number there. Obviously, numbers ending in 10 tended to be significant players back in the day. Here's another cool one, Boog Powell, Baltimore favorite on the 1969 top set here. This is a Heritage box topper buyback from the 2018 Topps Heritage product. Great image there. Boog looks like he weighs about 400 pounds and is about 6'8" in this photograph. Just really, really cool. Love the simplicity of the 69 design and a very low card number here, card number 15 on the 69 checklist. Great cartoon too. Collected 11 RBIs in a doubleheader in 1966. That's quite a feat. That's a good day there if you have him on your fantasy baseball squad. 11 RBI in one day. Here's another Hall of Famer, and from the same release that we just saw, Phil Niekro. So Boog not enshrined, but Phil here is. And great image here on this Braves card. Long-time pitcher, pitched in multiple decades. And somebody who I didn't appreciate as much as I do now when I was a kid collector or a kid fan of baseball. Learned a little bit more about Phil reading the Baseball 100 by Joe Posnanski, which was a great book, and kind of gained a new appreciation after hearing the chapter or reading the chapter on Niekro. So that's a great buyback there. A Heritage box topper buyback of a Hall of Famer is definitely kind of the cream of the crop when it comes to these buybacks, and not something that you see all that often, at least in my experience. Here's another Heritage buyback. This of an ERA leaders card from 1968 Topps, the burlap design. So these would be the 67 American League earned run average leaders. Joe Horlin. Raise your hand if you knew that Joe Horlin paced the AL and ERA in 1967. I would not have gotten that right. And we have Gary Peters, who Topps just rudely stamped right over the top of, and then Sonny Siebert over here on the right. Let's take a look at the full list on the back. 2.06 ERA for Horlin. No way I would have gotten that trivia question. That's pretty cool to see that card. Learned something new today, rummaging my own baseball card collection, so I'll take that. I pulled out two, so let's just roll with it. First up, Hector Lopez, outfielder for the Yankees. Look at this. I mean, we're going to take this out of the sleeve because what's the point of a sleeve at this point? So we've got creasing. I don't know if you can make out, there's a giant crease here going across the entire card and a bunch of surface creases. Look at these former corners that are now completely rounded. This is rounded to the extent of like a playing card, but I love the image. Just classic pose here in the Yankees uniform. Then you have that inset black and white photo. Great design on 63 Topps. And yeah, this is just an absolutely beat card, but I love it. I love all these buybacks, and feel like I say this anytime I rummage through these boxes, but you can't afford to be picky with these. And I love the wear on this card. It's really fascinating to think about. This card was probably involved in some games of corners or tossed around prior to Topps buying it back. You know, as it traversed the world throughout the 60s, clearly was shown a lot of love, and I think it makes for a very unique buyback card. And then here's another 1961 combo. So if we fish out, we saw the Lindy Show's Larry earlier in this rummage, and now we have batter bafflers, Don Cardwell and Glenn Hobby. I love this one even more. It's a little bit better centered than this one, and I love the image here with those great Cubs uniforms. It's really cool. I don't remember having seen this card at all, you know, buyback format or not. Obviously, I don't have every card from the 60s memorized, but that's a really, really neat one. Cool to see a couple of combo cards and some leaders cards spilling out of the box today. And how about another Heritage box topper Hall of Famer here, the great knuckleballer Hoyt Wilhelm on the 1967 release. And this was a 2016 Topps Heritage box topper buyback of that original 67. Just what a card, showcasing his pitching motion here. And if we take a look, obviously get some nice cartoons on the back. One referencing his no-hitter, his knuckleball no-hitter. coming towards the plate there in the left cartoon. That's fantastic. Great Hoyt Wilhelm. This is going to make a strong case for number 422 in the Franken set, especially being somewhat of an odd number like that. You know, obviously a card number like 200 is going to have some stiff competition for that binder, but I would assume 422 and being a Hall of Famer on the Heritage design, that Hoyt is going to make the cut. And then, all right, this is going to be the last card for today. We're going to finish with a beast of a buyback here. The 1992 Topps Ken Griffey Jr., the kid, the hobby darling of the 1990s. All my friends and I growing up, you know, emulated Ken Griffey Jr., that too cool backwards cap during the home run derby and that effortless, beautiful swing. He was the guy in the hobby as the 80s rolled into the 90s and the boom era or junk wax era, depending on what you want to call it, that a lot of us got started in. Griffey was the guy. So I put him on my hobby Mount Rushmore. I think he's one of the 4 most important people in the history of the baseball card hobby. And I don't think I'm overstating that. Obviously, everybody's going to have their own take on that, depending on the generation that they came up in. But for me, Griffey was that guy growing up, just larger than life and the biggest personality in the game. And I love this 92 Topps card in the 2017 Rediscover Buyback format. So I'm going to call it here. I hear Leo coming down the hallway, clicking down the hallway here. So he probably needs a little bit of help. So we're going to call the video after 11 minutes and change. And this is the perfect card to end on anyway. Just a stud buyback here. I've only got a couple Ken Griffey Jr. buybacks. But if this one doesn't make the Franken set for some reason, which it may not, you know, there could be a very great card in slot number 50. I will appreciate it nonetheless. And this is the kind of card I would probably give the one-touch magnetic treatment to in the event that it doesn't make the Franken set. So definitely a more star-studded and Hall of Fame-packed buyback rummage today. I really thoroughly enjoyed picking these out, and I hope you saw a couple cards that were interesting to you as well. Certainly appreciate your time, and as you know, I'll be back soon with some more content here. Until then, keep enjoying the hobby, everybody. See ya.